Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconiana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are going to change the wick in this vintage Ritepoint life lighter. This is your typical insert style petrol lighter. And you notice that when we light this one, it immediately lights right up, but then the flame begins to sort of wane and pulse back and forth, and then eventually the wick turns to ember. This lighter was just filled up earlier, so I think that the wick is just not structurally sound enough to sustain a flame, or perhaps is too contaminated. And with these older wicks possibly containing asbestos, I no longer cut on them, where typically in the past I would have just pulled that wick up and then snipped it off. Now I am just going to pull that wick out of there and replace it. So we'll start by removing our flint spring screw. Drop our flint out of there. Pull the felt pad off, which is in pretty bad shape. And then we will pull all of the wadding and the wick out of this petrol lighter insert. This cotton wadding looks nice and clean. Not only that, but you can feel that it is still got fuel in it from when I filled it up. That's a pretty dirty, singed wick, and not the most structurally sound looking wick in the world either. So we will preserve that for when we list and sell this lighter. That will be included with it. We are going to replace this with a generic copper woven Zippo type wick, and we should just be able to feed that right down. Well, may have to twist the end of the wick down first so you don't have little threads sticking out all over the place getting in the way as it goes through that eyelet. Once you do that, you should be able to put that right in the hole and twist it. Pull it out the other end. Hold the wick here where you want it, right at or below the top of the windscreen. Notice I'm not pulling out the cotton that is on the other side of the flint tube. There's just no reason to. Now we're going to bend our wick down here. And replace with our original wadding. I'm going to put that in an S shape as we feed these little pellets of cotton in here. And all of this folded down in there. Then we will replace our felt pad, which is somewhat coming apart on the bottom side there as it sits in the lighter insert. Whoever purchases this lighter could turn that around and have it looking a little more nicely, but I don't want to do that and then have somebody buy it and think that I was trying to pull the wool over on their eye by flipping that felt pad upside down. So not trying to hide anything, just trying to tell you how you can make that look a little bit cleaner if you purchase this lighter and would like that to not look so haggard. Make sure we don't have any of that felt in the way, as when we originally started working with this insert, it had gotten the threads of that felt pad all mixed up into the threads of the screw and the flint tube. So now we got that tightened back down. We will probably need to fuel this again, but we will position our wick first. And also we will groove our flint here in a second. Got our wick positioned here in the center and bloomed out at the top. I was just trying to make sure the flint was grooved there in the proper direction, but I'm not sure why that is not. There we go. That insert really heated up, but that leaf spring that is mounted on the back of that insert had gotten over to the side, to where when the protrusion here on the lid that puts pressure on that spring went up against it, there was nowhere for that spring to go. So something to keep an eye out for also. That would be a minor blemish to this lighter and one that would affect its functionality, so something to make note of for sure, and I will note that in the listing as well. So we close that lighter up. May take a minute here to get our fumes accumulated back in the top after having the insert out and then open for so long. A really nice advertising Ritepoint life lighter made in St. Louis, Missouri. The wick was just not structurally sound enough to make the lighter function as it should. We replaced it with a generic copper woven Zippo type wick. And there you go. See the flame come right up, and then you don't see it well, I guess you do see it. Pretty much jumping around just like it was, and charring up that wick immediately. So here's a problem that we will have to figure out in another video. I don't know if we need more wadding in there perhaps. I had just fueled that lighter earlier before we changed the wick in it. Let's see what happens if we add a little bit more fuel. Don't have fuel dripping down out of that wick yet. Yeah, we do now, so that should be plenty of fuel. Really strange to see that singe back up so quickly like that. Also to see that flame jumping around like it's having trouble regulating the oxygen. Perhaps too much oxygen, too much fuel, one or the other. Here it is, firing right up. Do have the flame jumping around just a bit. And then again, though that flame is setting up a little higher, I don't think that that is a healthy flame that would be pulsing like that, and especially with that wick turning to ember so quick again. So here's a problem we will have to solve another day. Until next time.